Yo, what up, homies? It's your boy Psycho, and this is going to be a pretty different video from what I normally do. Instead of this just being like a gameplay of a skin or something, I'm actually going to be talking about a topic in this video. The gameplay is pre-recorded, and more importantly, I want to talk about, I think Epic recently said that we're going to discuss some of the issues going on with competitive Siphon game mode, factors such as the FOV slider. So they made the announcement on Reddit that they were going to talk about some of the issues that a lot of people are complaining about, and complaining with complete right, because it's definitely a problem. And so I finally see that the article is released on Twitter, and a lot of the pros are really mad about this. And from my perspective, I completely understand. I haven't read the article yet, so I'm going to go ahead and read the article. But before I even begin this, guys, for the people watching, if you're more of a casual player and you don't like hearing people complain about the issues going on with Fortnite, either don't watch this video, or if you're one of those people that say that I complain all the time anyways, then you might as well just unsubscribe, because I'm going to complain about something that's a problem in this game. Like, when I do solo gameplays, yes, I do complain a lot. That's just me. It's hard not to complain, but there's a lot of stuff going on, and when you play this game every single day, or every time that you have time to do so, you know, complaining's going to happen because there's so many things to complain about. But that's just to make sure that the game gets better. Complaining is rooted in people loving the game because they want it to be better. It's so good that they want it to be better. But I'm going to jump into this article right off the bat. I'm going to read the title and then read the rest of it and then give my thoughts on it. First, we're just going to read it straight through though. So, it says, from the Fortnite team, 4/26/2019, Fortnite Competitive Development Update. And they start off by stating, there are several key principles that drive Fortnite development. First, we aim to provide a fun game that's inclusive of all players and provides everyone with a real chance of winning through any combination of skill, strategy, and good fortune. Second, we aim to evolve the game rapidly to keep the experience fresh. Finally, we aim to provide great entertainment. And so next it says, Fortnite Competitive relies on a unique balancing act, maintaining a solid and balanced experience for competitive players while being essentially the same Fortnite played by hundreds of millions of players. After all, those players are the audience for the Fortnite competition, and their engagement is key to the growing opportunities for competitive players. This creates special challenges for addressing the needs of different groups of players. We closely follow the dialogue in the Fortnite competitive community, but haven't been as active participants in the discussion as we ought to be. So we'll try harder to participate by sharing the why behind recent and future changes as a basis for ongoing community discussions, starting with this. And then it starts to talk about Siphon and material change. And so it says, let's start with Siphon and building material changes. Under the pressure of intense broadcast competition, playstyles differ significantly from regular play, with less aggression in the early game resulting in a crowded endgame overabundant and turtling. We introduced Siphon during the pop-up cup tournaments to provide incentives for aggression that more closely resembles how the regular modes are played, and to increase the entertainment value and spectacle. Everybody enjoyed receiving health and shields for eliminations after we introduced the changes to the core modes, but there was an unexpected consequence. Players at large grew more frustrated with Fortnite play, feeling they had less of a chance due to the encounters with high-skilled players with full health and shields. Ultimately, Siphon increased engagement for the highest skilled, 10%, while the remaining 90% were more frustrated and played less. Alright, so guys, I'm just going to give my thoughts on this little segment here before I move on. What it seems to me is, I feel like when Epic, and I told this, my duo partner, Fatal Tryhard, I feel like when Epic implemented this change with Siphon, I feel like everybody said they loved it, and I think the majority of people did love it, but I also feel like there was probably a drop in the player base during this time, and that is what convinced Epic to revert the changes back to no shield and no material per kill. Because at the end of the day, Epic is worried about how many people's playing the game. No matter what the feedback is, as long as people are playing the game, they're probably not going to care. And that's unfortunately a sad situation. But in my opinion, what it seems like to me is once they implemented this shield per kill, they noticed a drop in players because people were just getting clapped, like the people that aren't as good. And they noticed a drop in players, and so that's really what threatens Epic, is when they have a drop in players. So it seems to me that that's the reason they took out the Siphon mode, because of the drop in players. It's saying that the remaining 90% were more frustrated and played less. Man, I'm not sure about that, because if you look at Reddit, let's talk about this now. If you look at Reddit, the Fortnite BR Reddit, not the Fortnite competitive Reddit, they're two very different places. Fortnite BR is very, very casual compared to Fortnite competitive. However, when this update dropped, literally everybody loved it. Fortnite BR loved it. Fortnite competitive loved it. And if you look at, like, I remember back in the day, like when this first dropped, Fortnite BR, there was like people posting that aren't even like great at the game, but they enjoyed the reward of eliminating a player, the shield and the material per kill. And an example was that I remember seeing multiple clips, and it was back when they added clingers, and it was early game, and it was showing a clip of one of them getting stuck with a clinger, which does 100 damage, and of course early game you don't have any shield, you have 100 health, so that would have been an instant death, but it showed him shotgunning another player and then getting that 50 real quick before he exploded, and so he was able to survive. So even the casual player enjoyed that. So I'm not really sure what Epic's saying here, man. I understand if you see like a drop in a player base because of it, but I can understand from a business perspective, but when it comes to seeing how positive the feedback was for this change, it's kind of crazy to me that they just choose to ignore it. But anyways, we're going to jump back into this because we have a lot more to read. And so it says, let me find it real quick. Over time, players began to disengage in the core modes, stating that the game had gotten too intense to be enjoyable. The reduction in viable playstyles in combination with this feedback was the bias of us removing the Siphon mechanic and the material changes from the core modes. For players that prefer the sharper experience of Siphon, we do offer an always available arena mode that includes the Siphon and material cap changes. So what they're saying is that people complained about this, but I'm honestly wondering where the complaints came from, because they didn't come from Fortnite BR on Reddit. They didn't come from Twitter. Unless they're reading the vast minority, they did not come from anywhere that I look at Fortnite feedback on. Not Twitter, not Instagram, not Reddit, not YouTube. Everybody loved this. Everybody loved this. Now, there may be a lot of, the younger kids, but I wonder where they're getting that feedback other than just, oh, we had a dip in the player base because of that update. So I wonder if we actually did get a lot of feedback on this, or if Epic just saw that there was a big dip in the player base after that update and it wasn't going back up, so they kind of made that assumption. And let me note something really quick. This is going to be a long video, like I said. This is something I want to talk about. This is an issue in my opinion, and so I'm going to give my full thoughts on this. And so let me find it really quick. It said there was an unexpected consequence, feeling they had less of a chance due to encounters with high-skilled players with full health and shields. Okay. Now what about high-skilled players that deserve their skill because they've practiced it, and there's the unexpected consequence of no shield per kill, in which they're frustrated with Fortnite play because they're getting killed by people that should never actually kill them because they're not as skilled. So you can take it from another perspective as well, which is the great players who now face the consequences of this bad revert, in which they're being frustrated with Fortnite play because there's bad players that are, mining up 3,000 material in a solo, having max health, and then third-partying somebody with 15 kills, and they're winning games. They don't deserve to win that game, in my opinion. If you're an aggressive player and you have 15 kills, and then some Jimmy pulls up in a baller with 0 kills and third-parties you on a fight, there's no way that I would say that dude deserved the win. Of course, it's a BR strategy, Battle Royale, anything can happen, but in my opinion, that person doesn't deserve it. Because he sat in a baller the whole game, and he mined material the whole game, while the other dude was constantly risking his, all of his progress that he had made so far in that one match. Alright, so we've talked about that a little bit. Now we're getting into stretch resolution and field of view, so FOV. And it says, many competitive players have asked for an FOV slider to improve visibility in vertical in-game build battles. There's also been ire over what am I saying, bro? There's also been ire over our removal of stretch resolution, a relic of supporting old 4:3 TVs, which results in a distorted screen aspect ratio. And so then it says, when a game introduces a feature that produces a gameplay advantage, players gravitate towards turning it on to maximize their chances of success, even if this makes the game look and or feel worse. The stretched characters and distorted views detract from Fortnite as entertainment Are you kidding me? Sorry, I'll read that again. I just can't believe this. The stretched characters and distorted views detract from Fortnite as an entertainment experience for all. So basically what they're saying with this is, they don't like the FOV slider or stretch resolution just because it doesn't look good for people watching. Are you serious, bro? Oh my gosh, dude. This is the thing that bothers me about Epic, and I don't intend for this to be an Epic hate video. I don't want it to be that. I want it to get on here and be like, man, you know what? They really did listen to us. But what this is looking like to me so far, guys, this simply looks like Epic basically like they made it seem like they were, going to do something about it or work on some of the issues, but they're just basically saying, oh yeah, we've made our mind. It doesn't matter what you think. We've already made our mind. This is our reasoning, and you're just going to have to deal with it. There's no compromise here. That's the problem. There's no compromise with this article. Let me find it really quick. I wish I had like a clip, like a screen recording. If I could just like screen record what I'm on right now, that would be easier. But let me find this. It said, okay, they say basically that it just detracts from Fortnite as an entertainment experience for all. So they're just saying we want we want Tfue in the tournament to be using native resolution just because stretch doesn't look good. We want people to be watching this. And honestly, man, if you're willing to compromise higher competitive play just because you think it would be more entertaining to have a better looking like visual screen, then that makes me question how seriously you take competitive play. Because at the end of the day, I'm willing to watch someone play on stretched resolution. I would rather watch someone play on stretched resolution sometimes. Like, I think it looks cool. So, like, if you're going to, what's the word for it? If you're going to sacrifice higher competitive play, like, there's players that have much more potential with stretched resolution. If you're going to force them out of that, you're really ruining the skill gap of Fortnite, because that's just lowering it. And it says, fundamentally, we seek to avoid optional settings which provide players with a significant gameplay advantage. That doesn't make sense. That makes zero sense to me. How is it a gameplay advantage if you just give everyone the optional setting of an FOV slider? There's no gameplay advantage if everyone has it. We seek to avoid optional settings which provide players with a significant gameplay advantage. It's not that difficult. Just give us all an FOV slider, man. It says the current default FOV of 80 is a trade-off to accommodate varied engagement ranges, favoring a low FOV and thus a closer view of enemies, minimizing potential motion sickness in players further away from the screen. The further a player's head moves from the center of the in-game field of view, the more negative the reaction. Minimizing jarring transitions when aiming down sights, visual fidelity, and performance. So they're basically giving these reasonings as to why they have the current FOV instead of like a different one, why it's currently 80. But guys, let's think about this. Let's talk about one of the most competitive games that I've ever seen for $20. And it's lasted such a long time. and it seems that they've listened to their fan base, and that is Psyonix over with the Rocket League video game. Rocket League is still very, very competitive, and even they offer like an FOV slider or something. It's like, it may not be an FOV slider, but it's like a point of view where you can really zoom out on your vehicle and see everything. And they offer that on console and on every platform. Everyone has the opportunity, and what that does, it just increases the skill gap because you're able to see more with your vehicle. Like, once I started to become better at the game, I made sure to zoom out that slider as well. And like, it's one of those things that makes you a better player if you practice with it. So in my opinion, this is a missed opportunity for raising the skill gap, because stretch resolution is like, you know, that's in CSGO, it's in a lot of games. It's a big factor of competitive. So trying to take that out is just it's just not the right move. And then it says, finally, we have the section on game evolution. And it says, we have many goals we want to accomplish for players, and sometimes there's tension between these goals. Special events bring change and freshness to the game, but also affect some of the stable elements that competitive players have trained for. Weekends are the ideal time for the largest number of players to be able to experience special one-time moments, compete in tournaments, and watch them. Fortnite is an ever-evolving game. Keeping the gameplay in tournaments fresh is a key aspect to a growing player and viewership base that enables a large number of high-stakes tournaments for competitors and everyone who enjoys watching them. We aim to reasonably stabilize gameplay in advance of the Fortnite World Cup Finals. We had hoped to stabilize for all online qualifiers. However, the new weekly online tournament cadence means we will be doing this for some, but not all. And once again, guys, I'm going to ask the question of, although you're offering to stabilize gameplay for the World Cup Finals, the fact that it hasn't been stabilized for online qualifiers just blows my mind, considering how much money is at stake here. I just really don't understand how that can happen. And it talks about tournaments and stuff, and it says it's an ever-evolving game, and it says tournaments is a key aspect to growing. Keeping tournaments fresh is a key aspect to growing a player and viewership base that enables a large number of high-stake tournaments for competitors and everyone who enjoys watching them. So basically, what they're saying is, when they mix up a tournament and does something crazy, like when they did like the anti-gravity with the cube in one of those tournaments, I remember watching that. Yes, it's entertaining, but what they're saying is the fact of them mixing it up like that enables them to have higher viewership and afford future tournaments. But the problem is, people don't enjoy the current tournaments. People don't enjoy the current state of this game. They're only playing it for the money, and that's facts. I know people that are quitting after the World Cup. They're only in this for the money. And because, you know, I really don't blame them. They don't enjoy the current state of the game and how it doesn't reward great players. The game really doesn't reward good players at this point. And then it says, there's a section on bugs, and it says there are a series of bugs most commonly experienced during higher end play, and we have been consistent about acknowledging and addressing this. So it said, here's a few we recently added to our Trello that were recently resolved or we are actively tracking. And then it says Fortnite World Cup online points tracked incorrectly in client, so visual only. Ghost shots, player clearly shoots another player but no damage is done. That is a huge issue. Traps can sometimes be placed halfway through a tile. It says fixed in 8.50. And then the baller is destroyed if the driver exits the vehicle in a confined space. That one's fixed as well, it says. It says a lot of them require your help, blah, blah, blah. We're committed to doing a better job at monitoring bug reports through Reddit, social channels, and in-game reports. Please help us by posting detailed bug reports, including video clips. And then it says future topics, which is the final thing. It says, reevaluating how we communicate with our competitive players includes touching on topics you care about in places you're having discussions. Going forward, we will be more present in online forums to chat about the evolution of arena and competition formats as we progress along the competitive season. Now, I will say this is a good thing, man. I would rather have Epic talk to us. You know, if we have our problems, I would rather have them talk to us in Reddit or somewhere that we can just contact them rather than it seeming like they don't exist anymore like it has been seeming lately. Because lately, I noticed, when the patch, when Siphon was removed, everybody complained about it, but Epic would not respond to that at all. They would not acknowledge it. They would not acknowledge the complaints, but they would acknowledge anything else of someone saying, oh, look, they added a new skin variation to this skin or whatever. But it was so obvious that they were ignoring the negative feedback. So I do think it's a good thing that they're going to be, interacting with us on some of the issues. That's always a positive. You can't complain about that. But I really think Epic needs to focus, overall, talking about this whole article in general, Epic Games really just needs to focus on catering to the people that are going to be with this game for another 5 years. And that's not going to be your casual players, if we're being completely honest. The casual players are not going to stick with a game. They're going to go with whatever they think's cool next, whatever a streamer's playing next. And honestly, Fortnite, if you want those casual players, you want the streamers playing, because the casual players watch the streamers. And if the streamers can't enjoy it because they're good and they're getting clapped because of the situation, the current game meta, then they're going to play another game, and then the casuals are going to play another game. So you have to think about it like that as well. But the people that are going to be loyal to the game are not the jimmies that play it once every 2 weeks or once every weekend or so. I know there's a lot of people that play once every weekend just because they don't have the opportunity, so scratch that. But there's people out there that will complain about the game, but they really have no right to, because they don't enjoy the competitive nature of the game. They only enjoy the basics. So if you're complaining that it's too difficult, but you don't play it on a competitive level, video games isn't about letting someone win if you haven't trained your skills to do so. Like, if you don't have the skills to win, then you either quit or you train yourself to make sure that you win next time. So this is like one of those things where you give everybody on the team a trophy or something. Like, you've got to make people earn it. You've got to make people earn the skills. Getting through life is not about someone simply giving a handout and saying, okay, we're gonna accommodate you, we're gonna adapt for you. Life is about, trying to develop skills and overcome problems. Just like Fortnite. If you want to be better, you've got to invest the time. There's a lot of times when I get clapped in solos and stuff, and when I get outplayed, I don't have a problem with that, because, simply that person is better, or they invested more time in it than me. And I usually don't get aggravated when I'm outplayed. If it's something dirty or something where they're just abusing an OP method of the game meta, then that's understandable for me to get frustrated. But usually if it's a good player, I give them props. So I think there's got to be a focus on people that are going to stick with a game. You can still cater with the casual audiences, and you can add all these events and team rumbles and stuff, but I love this game. When I complain about things, or when I call an issue out, it's not because I hate Epic. It's not because, I have like something completely against Epic and I just want to ruin their company. No. I want Epic to do well, man. They've made a lot of good games. You've got Gears of War, which was a great game, and I love this game, so I want them to do well with it. I want this game to last. I want to enjoy playing this game for the next 5 years. And I think that's possible, but we have to be listened to. And so, just to end this off, I'm going to read some of the tweets off of my feed. I'm just literally going to scroll through it. And here's an example. Ghost Gronky, a really big pub stomper, says, just don't understand how 90% of the player base is against Siphon changes. Also glad they're looking out for my motion sickness. And it's a screenshot of Ninja's tweet that says, regarding the latest Fortnite patch, revert or don't revert. If you vote, it says, if you vote, don't, please. Okay, never mind. I get what it's saying. It says, if you vote, don't, please reply why. So that was Ninja's tweet, in which he said, he released a poll and it said, revert or don't revert. 87% of the people said revert, and 13% of people said don't revert. And so for the people that said don't revert, he wants to know why. So basically this was after they took out shield per kill. And there was 324,000 votes on this. So instead of the 90% of people complaining about getting clapped in the game now because of people being good, it's actually 90% of people being angry because of what, you know, because of them taking the show per kill out. So it's basically 90% of people complaining about the other 10% that are winning due to this broken game meta. And let me see if I can find any more tweets. Yeah, somebody Beaks, I follow him as well. He says, happy to say that I'm not disappointed because I already prepared myself for disappointment. Fortnite Battle Royale League said, let me get an SMH in the chat. T-Food tweeted XQC's gif where he's like slamming his keyboard. Evade Forbes said delusional. Secret Mongol did the SpongeBob meme of him burying himself in sand. Symphony did the crying meme. Pokimane did the crying meme. Sevenos or Sphinos or however you say it said, this is not a healthy way of communicating between devs and the player base. Very disappointed. Atlantis Juganja. LootLake.net. Everybody tweeting out memes. Nobody likes this response, guys. Nobody likes this. This is just... I don't think this was a good way for Epic to handle it. They teased us, making us think that they were going to consider some of our feedback, but when in fact they just basically made a note that said, sorry guys, we're not changing anything. This is what we want to do. We're basically not going to listen to your feedback because we have our own perspective and we're going to do what we want. And that's the problem with it for me. That's the problem with it for me. So before this video gets too long, I did kind of want to make this like a podcast because, you know, I wanted to be able to discuss as much as I wanted to discuss without, you know, limiting myself on time. So I think I've recorded for like 27 minutes, which is crazy. But I've got all my thoughts out there. So if you guys want to see future videos like these, if you think they should be more condensed, I'm just doing this because I want to get it out pretty fast. But let me know. Let me know. Those are my thoughts on it. Thanks for watching, guys.